Brothers and sisters, when a person is sinning and they're involved in sin, they sometimes presume that other people are involved in the same sin. I give you an example. And these are going to be live examples that are reality. We don't need to have gloves on and we don't need to sugarcoat things. If a person is quietly watching pornography on a daily basis or regular basis, they begin to look at others and think that these people have a similar problem, not realizing that that is not true. Sometimes a person is quietly committing adultery and they're perhaps having an affair with someone. Perhaps they're on the phone saying things to a non-mahram. Perhaps they might be stealing some money, eating interests. Perhaps they might be quickly doing something that's wrong, maybe gambling, alcohol, weed. Weed is a major problem. And they begin to think that, no, I'm sure these guys are also on weed. You see someone else and you start thinking that they also have the same problem. That is not true. That is not true. Do not judge others based on your actions, your weakness, your sin. And it doesn't mean that others are sinning just because you're sinful. Your standard is not theirs. So don't judge people on your standard of sin, if you get what I'm saying. We're not saying that people don't sin, but we are saying that a weakness is when someone is involved in something, shaitan wants to try and make it fair seeming to them by justifying, don't worry man, everyone's doing it today. You want to get married and someone says, no, you got to go out with her for 1-2 years, make sure everything's, what are you talking about? Yes, it's important to get to know your spouse, but not to the degree where you're earning the wrath of Allah and the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need to realize that it's not everyone who thinks that way. We are believers. We need to understand what is haram, and by the will of Allah, for as long as it's hidden from your eyes, consider it not happening. That's why the Prophet ﷺ says, people will continue to achieve goodness and the mercy of Allah and forgiveness for as long as the sin they may be committing is not done openly, publicly with pride and arrogance. When a man commits adultery quietly and he tiptoes into the home like no one should see him, it's a bad thing, it's a sin, it's a major sin, yes, but it's not as bad as a person who openly sins in front of everyone. Oh, that's my girlfriend, it's okay, and we're walking and we're cruising and we're entering into a place where people know what's going to be happening. No, my brothers, my sisters, let's not give people reason to doubt us, number one, and let's not doubt others, number two. And if a person has to sin because of human weakness, make sure it's not done publicly and make sure you are not proud of it. And don't ever get used to a sin. Don't get used to it. Because did you know sins are divided into two major categories? It's called a major sin and a minor sin. A major sin are those sins wherein which Allah has mentioned a punishment of. Allah has spoken of its severity. Allah has spoken of a severe punishment in this world and the hereafter, or one of the two of them. That's called a major sin. For example, consumption of intoxicants, for example, the gambling, for example, adultery, and so on. Major sins. Even shirk billah is a major sin. Association of partners with Allah, major sin. And so the other type of sin is a minor sin. And if you take a look at it, when you repeat a minor sin constantly, it automatically becomes major. Not that the sin is major, but the way you are committing it is major.